The Russian Oreshnik missile turned out to be a dud that was highly overrated. Experts have finally finished studying the fragments of this missile, which has already struck Ukraine 3 times. An analysis of the electronic components of the Oreshnik missile, which struck Bila Tserkva, Lviv, and Dnipro, showed that the missile contains Russian and Belarusian parts, mostly manufactured between 2014 and 2016. And all the other components are even older, which suggests that the only modern thing in the missile is Vladimir Putin's propaganda. Moreover, earlier in the US Congress, it was stated that using the Oreshnik missile to strike Ukraine will bring the Russian dictator the opposite result of what he wants to achieve. The fact is that the debris of this missile is now in the possession of American intelligence, and the US is studying Russia's actual missile capabilities. And it turned out that Putin once again greatly exaggerated the level of threat. My name is Pechiy. Let's discuss this topic together, but before we start, please subscribe to this channel, like this episode, leave any comment under the video, and subscribe to my Telegram channel Pechiy News. The link to it is in the description of this video. So, experts have finally examined the Oreshnik missile, which was used to attack the Lviv and Dnipropetrovsk regions, as well as Bila Tserkva about a week ago. And the first conclusion is very simple. The missile is not new at all. In particular, specialists gained access to the onboard electronics and flight control systems. Studies of the debris from the Oreshnik missile, which the Russians used to strike Bila Tserkva, showed that it contains components only from Russia and Belarus. At the same time, experts who worked with the publication Militarny studied the surviving debris of another Oreshnik missile, which the Russians used to attack the Lviv region on the night of January 8–9, 2026. Analysis of the electronic components showed that the missile contains Russian and Belarusian parts, mostly manufactured in 2014, 2015, and 2016. The fact is that today it became known that part of the Oreshnik missile's body, which Russia used to strike the Lviv region in January, separated during flight and did not burn up. This made it possible to analyze its parts and components in detail. In particular, the processor unit and the main computer board survived, which sends signals to the control surfaces and engines. The examination of these components completely disproves the Kremlin's claim that this missile is a fundamentally new development. Experts said that the missile that attacked Lviv opened up and released these inert payloads for the strike too high, specifically 5 to 6 kilometers from the target. That's why parts of the missile were simply scattered over a fairly large area and they didn't burn up. In Bila Tserkva, the Oreshnik missile opened up at a rather low altitude, which is why it hit the garages specifically. All 6 packs of 6 pieces each landed on several garages. That is, it was clearly visible that it opened very close to the target, so everything fell in a tight cluster. So, the missile was slightly adjusted after the launch towards Lviv region. As a result, experts stated that the Oreshnik missile is just a heavily modernized version of existing Soviet and Russian missile systems. Only certain technological changes were made to the design, but all the printed circuit boards and microchips found inside the processor unit were manufactured between 2014 and 2016. Unlike Russian drones, which are found to have modern foreign components manufactured in 2024 and 2025. But in the Oreshnik missile, they didn't find any new parts from the US, China, or Europe at all. Absolutely all electronic components are exclusively from Russia and Belarus. In particular, there are components on the boards produced by the Minsk Integral plant, which manufactures integrated circuits, semiconductor devices, and electronic components for military equipment. And it is one of the largest microelectronics manufacturers in Eastern Europe. Well, most of the electronic components are manufactured at enterprises in Moscow and the Moscow region. Since the Oreshnik missile was developed as a carrier of nuclear warheads, it has low guidance accuracy. This is typical for missiles of this class. The missile is equipped with a separable warhead, which splits into 6 individual guidance blocks before impact, each of which contains another 6 submunitions. But without a nuclear charge, these are just cast iron slugs weighing 50 kilograms each. Therefore, if the missile is used in a non-nuclear version, its destructive effectiveness is minimal. It's just that at tremendous speed, this 50-kilogram slug crashes into the ground, nothing more. Experts are sure that Oreshnik is a hastily made modification of the Soviet intercontinental ballistic missile project RS-26 Rubezh. Both products are similar in their mass and dimensional characteristics, and they are designed to deliver missiles with multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles. The development of Rubezh was already carried out in modern Russia. In particular, active testing took place from 2011 to 2015. But in terms of design, this missile was based on the Soviet school of rocketry and the technologies of the Topol-M and Yars intercontinental ballistic missiles. And here I'll explain why Oreshnik, as I said, is a hastily created missile meant for intimidation. The Rubezh project was developed as a lighter and more mobile version of the Yars missile, but especially during the period when those restrictions on the range of ballistic missiles were still in effect. At that time, it was necessary to create a missile that would not fall under international monitoring and would fly a distance of less than 5,500 kilometers. And this Rubezh project was developed for quite a long time, but the program was officially frozen in 2017. But later, Vladimir Putin, after the start of the full-scale war against Ukraine, revived this Rubezh project. As a result, to create Oreshnik, they removed one booster stage from the three-stage Rubezh missile, and that's how this very Oreshnik came to be. Oreshnik received an upgraded warhead and guidance system. The main feature is kinetic warheads that split apart. The missile carries several warheads. Each of them separates into 6 submunitions at the final stage. And the idea is that, due to their tremendous speed, these blocks are supposed to inflict colossal damage thanks to their kinetic energy, even without using any explosives inside the submunitions. But in reality, the Russians have already used this missile 3 times. By the way, each one costs almost $100 million. And all 3 times the destruction turned out to be minimal. It turned out that this was just another bluff, more propaganda, and stories about them having some kind of ultra-modern missile. In reality, that's far from the truth. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. Also, if you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so with any donation using the links and details in the description of this video, or by using the QR code on your screen. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everyone.